Ricmotech GT Challenge, broadcasted Mondays live on Apex Racing TV. Visit ExtremeMotorsports99.com for series and schedule details. Broadcast coverage next.
Hello race fans, and welcome to Apex Racing TV for the Ricmotech GT Challenge here at the incredible Circuit de Spa Francorchamps, one of the most coveted circuits anywhere on the planet. I'm joined today by my colleague over in Texas in the United States, Austin Knight, and your wonderful images for today's broadcast will be brought to you by Marco Barbanera in Rome. Austin, Spa and sports cars go together. absolutely perfectly. How are you feeling for this race?
I'm feeling absolutely fantastic. Thank you for having me along, Peter. It is always a fantastic time to be here for the Ricmotech Sports Car Challenge. It's here at Spa. What can be any better?
Not a great deal indeed. Of course, we had the Spa 24 Hours on iRacing just last weekend, with many teams taking part, and that was all GT3 cars, of course. Today we've got two classes of cars. We have the GTE, or GTLM as they're known over the other side of the pond, and the GT3, or GT Daytona as they're known the other side of the pond. And we've got Ferraris, we've got BMWs, we've got Ford as well. But tell us a little bit about what we can expect today, Austin, around this track and the conditions that we've got particularly today.
Here at Spa is always a exciting track. It's a very long track, very fast, very flowing, but first lap is always very chaotic here. You got La Source, turn one, that massive hairpin, very tight on entry. Expect some cars to go out wide trying to avoid that, but then it narrows up into a very narrow point, and you might see a little bit of squeezing and jostling before they hit up the world famous El Rouge and Radion. And if your car's not dialed up right, there's going to be some chaos at the top of that corner. Watch out for track limits here. High possibility that you will be pushed out wide and all that.
Yeah, you make an excellent point about the track limits, Austin, because I find here that the stewards the stewards here at Spa are well, they're pretty harsh. I always find that it's so easy to just step over the track limits and get an incident point for your trouble. So I think that's going to be a factor today over this race. We have 75 minutes of action with one pit stop. Now, what we also must make our viewers aware is that the GT3 cars have been given a 5% power reduction to make them a little bit easier to pass when the GTE cars come up to lap them. So we'll need to keep that in mind when looking at the lap times.
Yeah, here at Spa, it's a very fast track, and you got that giant Colonel Straight. And some of these GT3 cars can go just as fast as the GT3s, as we see at a few other fast tracks. They're going to be very hard to pass in a straight, and so most of these passes will be done in the corners. And with a multi-class situation where the cars have very similar top pace speed, it's actually a big benefit for the GT3 cars and the GTE cars that they've been given that power difference to help ease both these classes through this race without having any multi-class and any race impeding incidents with other classes.
So today we've got a couple of unique rules which apply to this Ricmotech GT Challenge, brought to you by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics as well. So we've got a Texan sponsor for you, Austin, as well with this series. But the fuel tank limit, so the GT3 cars will be limited to 88% of their fuel tank, and the GTE class will be limited to 85% of their fuel tank. And that is basically to force the pit stop. Now, normally these cars will run for around an hour or so, so they will be obviously a little bit less than that as well. We're not expecting, especially with the new iRacing tyre model, we're not expecting tyres to change, so the strategy should be pretty straightforward, but who knows? We'll need to wait and see, Austin.
Yeah, one-stop strategy is just about when they are going to go for that strategy, which is, well, none of us here are really knowledgeable about what's going on through these drivers' eyes or minds. If we knew what these guys were doing, we would be on the track, but hey, we're up here, so we're going to be throwing the darts out. I'm going to say directly down the middle, around 45 minutes is when we should start seeing guys die for the pits.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, for the GTE, we're expecting a window between lap 12 and lap 22, so a relatively wide window for them. The GT3 feels not all that different. GT3, we're expecting anywhere between lap 10 and 22, so ever so slightly wider window for the GT3 cars. Now, let's talk about the GTE class, Austin, because we've got the Porsche 911 RSR, a normally aspirated machine, 6-cylinder. We've got the Ford GT twin turbo, the Le Mans winner, beautiful car that as well. And we've got the Ferrari 488 GTE, another mid-engine twin turbocharged machine, and the big battle axe, the BMW M8. Tell us a little bit about those cars and how they drive.
Well, the Porsche is a fan favorite here on iRacing. A lot of fast drivers drive that beast of a car. It is a screaming loud car. It sounds fantastic when you're just watching or spectating a race, but when you see that car behind you, you know it handles the corners like a beast. It's a bit flicky and a bit hard to control sometimes, but if you control her, she is so fun to drive. The Ferrari, some call it the learner GTE car. It's a very easy to understand car, but it has very balanced pace all over. And then you got the big old Beamer. Oh man, that car just sticks to the ground, but she can be a handful sometimes. And then you got the Ford, the quote hardest GTE to actually understand and handle, but when you do, it is quote the fastest GTE according to a few of my top sources. I know Max Verstappen, he runs that Ford all the time when he races in the GTE, and the GT3 field is a much more narrow car selection, so I'm going to let you go through that one.
Yeah, so it's it's the German battle in the GT3 class. We've got the Audi R8 Lms, which this is a 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 engine mounted in the middle, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. And here we go, thanks to our wonderful producer Marco. He's put one on screen for us as well. Now, this car has won all of the big endurance races in the GT3. It's won here at Spa and the Spa 24. It's won at the Nürburgring as well, and it's won in class at Daytona as well. So it's a proper machine, this car. But it will go up against a very worthy adversary, the Mercedes AMG Gt3, which is completely different. Big 6.3 litre normally aspirated engine, but mounted in the front of this car, and it just rumbles. It's a proper afterback engine from AMG here, front engined, and it's designed. I think. Would you agree, Austin, that it's probably the more stable of the two, perhaps?
Yeah. I remember when I was looking at the GT3, I asked what would be a good GT3, and somebody said Mercedes on Reddit, and then somebody after him replied, "Oh, the non-hype machine." I guess it's so stable that a lot of people run it, and it doesn't really have any quote unique characteristics. But this Mercedes with this tire model, oh, she rips, and I love her.
Yeah, it's. I have to be honest. I'm a little sad because I don't have the BMW Z4 GT3, which of course is long gone out of service in the real world. But I just love that car with its amazing V8 engine, and also we don't have the very rare Ford GT3. Yes, that is actually an option for a GT3 car. It ran for a couple of years in both GT3 and GT1 trim, actually, as well. So we don't have those, but we've got the Audi and the Mercedes to do battle. So our drivers are out for qualifying. 15 minutes of qualifying in. For a lap as long as Spa, well, this is quite a long... well, you don't have many chances to get a lap in. And like we mentioned, if you just have the tiniest step over the track limit, you will get... your lap will be invalidated, which can cause a lot of problems when you're trying to put a lap together. But Spa, as we head along here along the Kemmel Straight, it's for many people this is the ultimate racetrack in the world.
It certainly is the ultimate racetracks. I know when a lot of people think of Spa, they think of bathtub, someone rubbing your shoulders, very soft chiming music. When we think of Spa, we think running through the hills, screaming engines, and a beautiful racetrack. And speaking of a beautiful racetrack, let's go on for a track guide here around Spa.
Welcome, everyone, to Circuit de Spa, located here in Belgium. Great to have you with us as we bring you your track guide around this historical road course that dates all the way back to 1922. Back in the day, this course was over 9.5 miles in length, but today it stretches just 4.3 miles, but is quite a journey around this beautiful landscape of rolling hills here at Spa. Well, let's go ahead and head up that front straightaway as we see our pit area to the right, our main grandstands to the left. Come underneath that famous Circuit Spa sign and head down to turn 1 here. Good old La Source, very difficult right-hander, and man, is it an elbow to the right. Get a nice launch up out of there because we are going to keep that pedal all the way to the floor as we head down the hill and up into the world-famous Eau Rouge. Flat out through here. Very difficult corner to nail just right. Catch just a little bit of curb. We'll head up out of turn 6 here and then up onto Kemmel Straight. Quite an elevation here. This track actually has over 300 feet of elevation changes as we approach the top of the hill here into a very difficult right-hander, right back to the left, and up into third gear for this very fast right-hander that'll bring us down into the tight Bruxelles. Love this corner here. Really wraps right down to the apex. We'll come out wide and then get a nice track out entry into the left-hander here. Down the hill to Puhan. Very fast double left-hand sweeping set of corners here. Watch your throttle, track out, set up that apex here, get right back to the bottom. Pick up a lot of speed as we carry this down into campus. Turns 13, 14, and 15. Taking just a little bit of curb there, not too much, not to upset the balance of the cars. We come out wide, back down into third to get a good sweeping launch off of this turn here. This will take us into 16 and then out ultimately on a very fast section of the course. This will bring us down to the famous Blanchiment, two left-hand corners. Coming at it very quick here. Again, pedal to the floor, wide open through this section. And into this slight right, down into the final two corners, turns 19 and 20 here, hard on the brakes. Get down into the first right, back to the left. Launch it up out of that final corner and across the start-finish line. What a beautiful journey it is around this course. We do appreciate you being with us here for the track guide around Circuit de Spa.
Welcome back to Circuit Spa Francorchamps here in the Belgian countryside. We're about halfway through qualifying right now here on Apex Racing TV for the first round of the Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment GT Challenge Series presented by Proformer Elite Texas Graphics. Speaking of Elite Texans, I'm here with Austin Knight, who's over in Texas right now. Now, Austin, I must apologise. I forgot that we actually have two different types of Ferrari 488 in the field, just to keep things nice and confusing. We have the GTE version of the 488, but we also have them in the GT3 category. Now, the way to tell them apart is the GT3s, they are a green number, as this Ferrari on screen is demonstrating beautifully, and the GTE cars are in red. So we'll have to keep a keen eye on those, but the GTE car will be faster.
Yeah, GTE car, red number, GT3 with the green number. You can also tell the difference with the vents on the GTE being a little bit more aggressive, but you'll have to be like squinting your eye to really spot the difference between these two cars at a moment's notice. And also the GTE car will lock up a little bit more than the GT3 because that one has no traction control and no ABS, unlike all GT3 cars, and which the Ferrari being in both these classes, which is really just like a little performance upgrade to them, makes it the most similar and easy transition for most new GTE drivers on the service.
Yeah, and I understand that in the real world there are a couple of cars that can be converted from GT3 to GTE specification and vice versa, and the Ferrari is one of them. The Ferrari 488, you can buy a kit that will basically convert it back and forward to between a GTE and GT3 car. Also, the Aston Martin V8 Vantage, you can do that as well. However, the good thing about running the Ferrari here on iRacing is that you don't incur the enormous running costs of that car. I read an article the other day that Ferrari GT3 car in the real world costs nearly 40 euros a kilometre to run, whereas the equivalent Audi or Mercedes, they're around 15 to 18 euros per kilometre, and that makes my Scottish bones shudder with the sheer expense of running one of these cars in real life. And that's one of the many benefits of sim racing, of course.
Yeah, many benefits of sim racing. Don't have to deal with all those pesky racing costs, racing licenses, racing classes, racing fees, trackside fees, trackside travel, trackside stay, trackside hotels or near hotels, food. Well, you still have to pay for food, but track food, which is gratefully, which is about $7 overpriced if you go to Dakota. Sorry, and yeah, it's a much cheaper alternative than actually going out racing. And haven't done both. I can say I prefer iRacing just a little bit more because never can I really drive a GT3 car in pajama pants.
No, that's the dream, isn't it? Driving a Ferrari on a racetrack in your pants. That's that's the dream.
Pajama pants. I must say that you are wearing a giant.
Well, I am wearing. Funnily enough, I am wearing my Rothmans Porsche socks today. I have many different pairs of motorsport-inspired socks, and I have my Rothmans Porsche ones on today. So let's look at the times then. It is the GTE car sitting around 2 minutes and 13.1. The GT3 car is 2 minute 18.5. But remember, the GT3 car's running a little bit down on power. So that is a very impressive lap time indeed. So it's Sabretic and Mike Dam the next along the grid there, with Schwenke in third. And of course we saw a couple of these guys last week, Austin, in the Classic Sprint Championship at the wheel of some Spec Miatas. Quite a different experience this weekend.
Yeah, Spec Miatas and Mustangs put up a great show last week, but seeing these guys cut their teeth in those slower cars then they head into these faster cars, that is a great recipe just to show them what they can do. If you're fast in a slower car, you're beyond fast in a actual fast car. It just pays it forward. And I know if you go around track in a slower car, then you go back around the same track in a fast car, you suddenly know a lot more about that track. And that's the wonderful thing about iRacing. You do start out in some slower cars, but you do race the track over and over again. You will learn how to go fast around these tracks without ever going into one of these cars if you go up the ladder right.
Absolutely. And the our pole sitter right now, Dennis Sabretic, he was the season 2 GT3 champion here. So he's made the step up this season, my apologies, to the GTE class, as you say, to the slightly faster cars. Now, he won the GT3 class in a front-engined V8 German car, a Mercedes, and well, he's decided to keep the status quo. He's in a BMW this time, and both a front-engine car and a V8, but this time with the addition of 2 lovely twin turbos.
Yeah, you gotta love those turbos. Looking
now, Austin, now here's one bit of trivia for you while we've got a bit of time in qualifying. What do the BMW M8 and the Ford GT have in common?
Oh, that is a tough question. Let's see. They both have 4 wheels.
That is also true. They then have 2 things in common. In both cases, the racing car actually was debuted before the road car equivalent. So the Ford GT and the BMW M8 both raced at Le Mans before there was an equivalent road car, and thus basically squeezing the regulations to their very limit. And of course, for the Ford, it was very much a homologation special just for Le Mans as well. And of course, now you'll see quite a few BMW M8s out there on the road as well. So, Sabretic still sitting on pole position by a full 0.8 of a second, and even on a long lap like we have here at Spa, that is a seriously impressive gap. So we'll need to watch him, our reigning GT3 champion, making the step up. We're looking at our series organizer here, Kevin Ford, in the number 32 Audi. Oh, and he's decided that's not going to improve, so he's decided, sorry, my apologies, he's in a Ferrari, my apologies. I'm looking at the wrong car there. So, that looks like all of our drivers are done for their qualifying session, and we'll be about ready to go, Austin, soon.
Yep, 75 minutes is being put on the clock as these guys are making their final preparations to set up, final preparations to themselves, and maybe a final run to the bathroom before a very, very, very nice upcoming race for y'all today. One stop, it's Classic Spa Racing, Multi-Class GT3 and GTEs here for the Ricmotech GT Challenge. And Peter's going to run you through the grid.
I will. So, pole position then for Denis Sabretic, the Croatian in the number 79 Band of Others racing machine. Joining him on the front row will be the Canadian Mike Dam. In third will be Travis Schwenke, and in fourth, Miguel Alcrudo. On the row 3 will be Justin Corral and Robert Hartley. Row 4, Miguel Alcrudo and Jen McDonald. Row 5 will be Orion Collins and Rafael Souza. Row 6 will be Jonathan Corral and George Fike. And rounding out the GTE runners was Arthur Chan, and I nearly got caught there, nearly. I'm not going to do it. Of course, that is just the timing screen there, talking about our race marshals. How do the GT3 guys look for now, Austin?
Well, the young Elvis Rankin puts himself up on pole, followed by Caleb, John Lavender, Cameron Martineau, Daniel Munoz, Matthew Molnar, Losque Diolio, Tyler Guillemetti, David Payton, David Dunino, William Dillon, Jeff Jacobs, Kevin Ford, Ken Ladd, Bobby Childs, Chris Thorman, Derek Holland, Joel Lead, Tony Kernan, Russ Ruddick, Raymond G. Gonzalez, and Jeremiah Kelman in 21st place in our GT3 category. And it's a very packed GT3 category, so the GTEs are going to have a lot to work through.
They are indeed, but luckily for them, the lap here at Spa is very long, so hopefully that will mean that they won't have they'll only really incur traffic much later on in the race, or certainly when the pit stop strategies start to filter out. So we're about ready to go then. Our Porsche 911 iRacing pace car leads them off then. They got the drivers engaged, first gear, pull away, ready for 75 minutes of racing at one of the crucibles of motorsport, Spa-Francorchamps in the south of Belgium. So we're heading through, it's a very short pace lap. We've only got about a quarter of the lap here as the drivers come around the Blanchimont for this, hopefully the slowest they'll go around Blanchimont today. So we wait for our GT3 runners to come out. Lots of Ferraris up there at the front there, Austin. So that car obviously running well so far today, but we've got an all-German front row, a Porsche 911 and a BMW M8 with the BMW on pole position as they come round the bus stop, waiting for the green flag, and we were just about to go racing. Here
that starts here.
Francorchamps, green,
what
we're off. In here. Go on, Austin.
Jump by the chrome Ferrari down the inside, 4 wide, all the way for second place as they head into La Source. It's going to be Sabretic, Acredo, Cedar, and Schwenke, your top 3, but Acredo gets a great job. The junior Acredo is ahead in second place, and what a start that he got there as his father is going very slow, and he's going to have some damage.
The 55 Ferrari there just got turned around slightly and going very, very slowly indeed. So obviously took big damage there. We're waiting for our GT3 runners to get the green flag, and they are off. Good start from Rankin in the Ferrari. Elvis Rankin, the youngster, takes the lead into turn 1, La Source, which is always a hot spot for trouble. Our GT3 runners, meant to be the junior runners in the field, and they've got through nice and cleanly, Austin.
Yeah, very nice, clean start. Rankin got a great start. Lavender, even better start as he's already on the bumper of Elvis Rankin. But both these two drivers are pulling away from Martin, who has Mulder. Big incident at the back end. Oh my goodness.
Oh, huge. Oh, that is a massive incident
Someone call SpaceX.
there. I mean, that's unfortunately, oh my goodness me, that was a space shuttle launch indeed. But that can happen coming out of Eau Rouge and Radion here. It's so, you're just unsighted, it's completely blind, you're going off the edge of a cliff. I think he actually gets a help there from one of the Ferraris, and he's stranded in the middle of the circuit, and oh goodness me, good night, Buzz Lightyear. Oh well, what a pity for our GT3 runners. I'm afraid that was my fault, Austin. I commentated curse saying they got away cleanly, and unfortunately not. So Sabretic, the Croatian number 79 in his BMW, this is Sebastian Vettel-esque from his Red Bull days, of course, not his Ferrari days as we know. But Sabretic ahead of Al Crudo, and Schwenke tries to look up the inside at the bus stop, but there's a couple of BMWs up behind here. But what's happened to Mike Dam? Mike Dam's back in 6th place after starting on the front row of the grid. What a pity for the Porsche man.
I think he went off track just a little bit and got pushed wide at the end of the straight as we were watching that rocket launch happen in the GT3 field. But he was pushed off track, I believe is what happened to Mike Dam. And let's take a replay of what's happened here at the start. You see a Credo Jr. going down to the very inside of Credo Sr. in 2nd place, gets turned around right there by the BMW. This kerfuffle at the start has pretty much caused Denis Sabretic to pull away from the rest of the field. Yeah,
that's scary.
A Credo Sr. has that wheel damage, and he just can't turn the car.
Yeah, he's you can see there how he's got very big damage on the wheels. So unfortunately that's his day over before it really got started. What a pity. But actually for Mike Dam, he did it. Oh, it's got one of that Ken Ladd in the 49 Mercedes. That's Blanchimont. That's quite an easy mistake to make. If you just clip, gets a little bit of grass on the inside, catches the curb, gets loose. Gets the curb, and really horrible snap oversteer moment, and you just cannot catch those. That is horrible. So certainly an eventful opening few laps here, Austin, but I'm just coming back to Mike Dam. He did a good job there. He might have lost a couple of spots, but he showed good perception there. It's the 116, Jonathan Corral. Neil gets collected. Oh, dearie me. But yes, anyway, last thing on Mike Dam was that he avoided the contact crucially, as we're seeing how important that is. But back at the front, Elvis Rankin, of course, he had gave us a fantastic, entertaining race in the Miatas last week. Now he's in a far more exotic machine, the Ferrari, but similar result, running out front.
Yeah, Elvis Rankin, youngest driver in the field, around 12 years old. And I can actually say that this kid is fast, as he's already pulling away about a 2nd gap to 2nd place behind him.
Yeah, good, excellent stuff. But, he's going to have Lavender and Martineau for company if he just steps one mistake. And, of course, the reason why so many drivers love Spa is because it's such a challenge. There's so many pitfalls around this circuit. But, when it clicks and when you've got the car working right, it is just a joy. As, speaking of drivers who have got it right, well, look at our leader in GTE putting in the fastest lap of the race, number 79. What a fantastic start from Denis Sabretic. Fantastic stuff from him, and he is pulling away 4.2 seconds of an advantage already.
Now Dennis might be pulling away from there, but I'm expecting that wild pack of GTE cars is going to catch him near the end of this race, because we got 2 drivers putting in purple sector times. Mike Dam is one of them, the other being Justin Corral as well, and Robert R. Hartley joining that fast-paced group.
Yeah, Miguel Antonio Al Crudo in the Ferrari, holding up family honour. Of course, lives in Miami and raced with us in this same category last season as well, and doing a grand job in the 000 machine. I like that number. That's very cool on his Ferrari 488 GTE. Now, what is incredible about these Ferraris is that if you look at the GT3 car, the Ferrari 488, the road car, the standard road car is 660 horsepower. but the race car is actually only 490 horsepower. So they actually have to really peg the race car back in power. It's extraordinary. You wouldn't believe that the race car was a lot less power than the street car.
Yeah, that is what we call the regulations curse. You just want to put as much power into the car as you must, but then you look at the regulations and you're like, oh, we actually put too much in there.
Yeah, and it just shows you just how much aerodynamics they have as well. As look at this. Whoa, Alcrudo having to defend coming into Blanchimont. He's got one of the BMWs right behind him, number 16 of Travis Schwenke. Got a couple of BMWs, and the thing is, these BMWs, they loom big in your mirrors, and if you've got a good driver in one of these BMWs, it's intimidation, Dale Earnhardt style.
Yeah, you also got a Porsche right back there, as that's Mike Dam following those two big beanie boys as they're battling it out with Alcrudo. Force plays it. Alcrudo goes wide through the source and down the inside goes Schwenke. They're going to be side by side, heading into El Rouge and Raidillon. Oh, this is going to be tight through there, but Schwenke lets him through. That is some smart driving from Schwenke, not going to try to force an incident and try to get him on the straight with that draft.
Well, we know that the BMW, it's a bit of a dragster in a straight line, and look at this, we know the BMW's got big legs in the straight line, and of course these cars, they're side by side. Oh my goodness me, into the chicane there at Les Combes. Wow, and look at Mike Dam on the move as well. Oh, fantastic stuff there, and I have to say those Porsches just sound, they sound beautiful. But what's happened to Souza? Souza, has he got, or is that Schwenke? He's got, oh no, they're using the same livery. My apologies, that's a typical blunder for me there. My apologies, folks. But Alcrudo is able to defend there very well because the BMW, the 16 of Schwenke behind him, had a real run on him.
Actually, correction, with Elvis, yesterday was his birthday. So he's actually 13 now.
He's now a teenager. Oh, car 32. Drive-through penalty, car 32. That is, that's embarrassing. That is Kevin Ford. That is our series organizer, the man who probably wrote that rule. He's been called for a drive-through penalty. Oh dear. And then that's another penalty. That's not the place you want to spin. Kevin. And the thing is, you've raced in the real world, Austin. You can imagine when that call comes in on the radio, you're getting a drive-through, that's got to take your concentration away. But let's have a look and see what happened.
I've never actually been called for a penalty.
You're goody two-shoes. Okay, so why don't you call this one, Austin? See what you see.
Now, in iRacing, that is a completely different situation.
So what happened here? So we're seeing Kevin.
I just bumped him.
Understand what he's done here. I don't see much wrong there, but I think we're about to see it. I think it's maybe the incident up at Eau Rouge. So he's in the number 32 car, that white and black and red accented Ferrari. He's got one of the Mercedes in front of him, and boom! Oh my goodness me! Just punts the Mercedes, and I don't think that was intentional, but unfortunately, just one of those things. When you're the driver behind, you've got to manage that pace with the car in front.
Yeah, and Elvis Rankin, the late birthday boy, leading out the field, but he's being caught by Caleb, and that Audi half a second separates these two, but these top three, Rankin, Lavender, and Martineau, pulling away from the rest of the field. There's a massive gap between 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Just look at that shot.
Yeah, but of course here with the draft at Spa, it really is important. If you get tucked in behind the leader, you can stay there. And well, Rankin's having to say howdy, howdy, howdy to that Audi who's right behind him in second position of Lavender. And well, this is going to be fascinating to see which car has the legs. And of course, it's not so much about the horsepower or the straight line speed you have. It's all about that exit out of Eau Rouge. It might just seem flat all the way through, but getting that line just right. But look at Lavender in the Audi. He's right in the draft of Elvis Rankin.
Yeah, that Audi is buried in that draft, and that Audi has a lot of good cornering speed, so he'll be catching up to that Audi, that Ferrari with that Audi, and when he gets about half a second in there, he's going to be locked in on that bumper of that Ferrari and just be catching Elvis as fast as he can.
Well, we got another penalty. Car number 16, Schwenke. Oh no, Travis Schwenke, who's currently in a podium position right now. He's been called for a penalty as well, so that's a disaster.
Yeah, that was at the start of the race. That's for turning Crudo.
Yep. Oh dear, and of course that did end Al Crudo's race. So, controversial start to this Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment GT Challenge Series, presented by Proformer Elite Texas Graphics. So, whoa, dearie me.
Dylan. Oh no, Dylan made a move, and then he gets loose immediately after it goes into the wall. That, well, that's just unfortunate. He was well, you see, oh my goodness, Diolio going way off the track through Puwan. These Ferraris struggling with their tires. Oh, nice rejoin right there. Ooh. Oh. He just lost it right there. So both Dylan and Diolio struggling with their tires as Travis Schwenke gets a warning for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Well, we know he's got the penalty for causing the incident early on. I think it must be a drive-through penalty, a bit like Kevin Ford.
It's just a warning.
But, it's just a warning. Okay, yeah, good spot. Okay, well, that's
caps, so I'm not sure what he did to do that, but I'm pretty sure it involved a driver radio.
Okay, so, well, it might be, of course, the one thing here on iRacing that is a little bit unique compared to motor racing in the real world is normally you'll hear in the real world, especially if you watch Formula One, you'll regularly hear the Formula One crew chief speaking to their driver during the race. And funnily enough, I don't know about you, Austin, I don't know why it is that it seems that every F1 crew chief has the same BBC British accent. But anyway, there you go. But here on iRacing, the drivers are actually speaking to each other during the race, and that has mixed reactions, I should say, I would guess.
Yeah, some positive, you get some funny stories, you get some good friendships from there, and then you just get some stories that you just don't want to tell anyone about. Sometimes people owning up to mistakes, and then sometimes people just not even coming through. And this group is coming up to one of the GT3 cars, and that GT3 stayed on the outside. They saw that they were in a battle, and they don't want any part of it, and they don't want to disrupt any of this battle. And that GT3 is going to be in for a little bit of a highway driving and letting these guys by.
Yeah, of course, that's the beauty of multi-class sports car racing, is when you've got all these different types of car on track at once, having kind of their own race. And of course, we see it in... what have you spotted, Austin? Tell me.
This is a horrible spot to be a GT3 car right now. At the top of Al Rizarradia, but look at the speed that Hartley's got on the Porsche, but oh no, he's gonna have to split it. We're going to go 3 wide down the straight.
Well, I tell you what, Austin, you've got to take your hat off to that GT3 car who stayed straight, held their line, and allowed the GTE cars to make their way past. I have to say, it's so easy as a slower car to move up. Yeah, brilliant.
He held it around the outside, a little bit above the corral, and he snuck it down to the inside, down the 2 Porsches, and Hartley jumps up into 6th place. He used that GT3 like a pick, honestly, on that straight.
Well, that's what you can do. That's the great thing. That's what you can do with the traffic, is that you, with with these 2 different types of class out there, if we can really play the GT traffic correctly to your advantage. It's such a skill that the best sports car racers in the world have. One guy who immediately springs to mind is Nick Tandy, who drives this 911 RSR in the real world as a Porsche factory driver, and he's one guy who's just ruthless through traffic and just makes gaps that aren't there. But speaking of making gaps, Mike Dam, going up the inside here after a little bit of an eventful start, makes the move on Al Crudo in the Ferrari. Can he make it stick?
No,
Al Crudo cuts back, but
Mike Dam
runs him wide, but they...
I'm sorry for
he makes it.
over you.
Sorry, no problem. Sorry, no. Yeah, it is. That's what we like to see. And as he heads down through Blanchimont. Now, so Jackie Stewart, who won here, he said You know, everyone talks about Eau Rouge, it's the corner. He says, no, Blanchimont. Blanchimont is the corner where you really take a big deep breath and go, oh, please, get round, please. So we're riding on board with Loeski Deoleos in the number 36 Ferrari, another Ferrari here, going through down towards Pouon, that double left-hander, and in a Formula One car, this is virtually flat out at 170 miles an hour, which is a terrifying prospect. In a GT3 car, it actually requires quite a bit of finesse. It's just balancing the throttle and trying not to run wide because the track limits are so harsh there.
I know there's a quote out there. It's racers go flat out through El Rouge and Radion. Champions go flat out through Blanchimont.
There you go. What a better way to put it I cannot find. So, as we head through Campus and Stavelot onto the gas, getting a good exit here is really important, because if you can get a better exit than your competitor, you can set that move up, a big do or die move into the bus stop chicane. So you're right up to top gear. Round here we go. This is the corner we're talking about. Blanchimont just breathe in and going, oh, hang on, please, using all those lovely aerodynamics, and he's got through nicely. So then, looking for the dusty spot on the road there, down 4, possibly, yep, down to bottom gear, and it just concertinas together, the accordion effect, I think they call it.
Accordion effect is exactly like that, and it's scary when you're absolutely money on the brakes of the car in front of you going slow, and you're just hoping that you don't give the guy a bump mid-corner, because that will send the car in front of you spinning, and that will probably land you a drive-through penalty or a 5-second penalty, as the 1-1 of Daniel Munoz going into the pits on lap 8. He's got some damage right there.
Yeah, that's not in the pit window at all, so he cannot get home to the end from there. So that's a bit of a pity. But I feel like actually, you know that you're driving a good race at the front if the commentators aren't talking about you as the leader, because as we see Mike Dam here trying to get past Souza in the BMW, but well, what can you say? What can you say about Dennis Sabretic?
Souza went right through the bus stop. I think he locked up his brakes, and Mike Dam took full advantage of that. Mike Dam is up to 3rd, and yeah, we are talking about we haven't talked about Dennis Sabretic, and I just took a look at that gap, and oh my goodness, 10.5 seconds. Sabretic is savage around here.
Yeah, he's really put on a show in this quality of field with this many drivers. You know, we're only 18 minutes into this 1 hour and 15-minute race, and with over 10 seconds of a gap, look at the consistency in the lap times. That is just amazing. 2:15.5, 2:16.1, 2:15.7, 2:15.2, 2:15.3. That is, well, there you go. Look at the difference. Look at the gaps between him and Schwenke, and Schwenke is not hanging about whatsoever. So Sabretic, our GT3 champion, don't forget, from last season, well, he's putting in the perfect start to his GTE challenge this time out.
Yeah, Sabretic, robotic. I have to say that, robotic, but I want to see, Schwenke had a big gap spike one of those laps, and I think Schwenke also has damage on his car, because he has a penalty after the race, 5-second penalty, as well as a warning. So I think Schwenke might be in the doghouse just a little bit, and looking at his car, I don't really see that much damage on it. I don't see any damage really. So, but there definitely was a incident where he just dropped off.
So this is Schwenke at the start then. Let's see if we can see what's happened to him. So they're under the starter's orders. They're about to go green, and bang, hit the loud pedal there. And now Crudo maybe just gets him a little bit of a surprise there, actually. Look at them, just coming up on his inside, moves him about as close as he can, but stays straight on the brakes, turns in. Oh yeah, outbrakes himself. Yes, outbrakes himself and slaps into El Crudo Senior, and El Crudo Junior is in front of him. But just the tiniest of mistake, but quite a big consequence.
Can we just talk about Crudo Jr.'s wonderful start? He started from way back in the field, like 3-4 rows back. He saw that starting light go on, and he just popped down to the inside and just absolutely launched through that start and all the way up contending for second place in that 4 wide through La Source.
Well, it's hard for us to tell here, but I wonder if the stewards will maybe be looking to see if he jumped the start there, actually. Maybe not. We can't really tell from up here, but it certainly looked very early. If it was on time, it was absolutely perfect. And we see that in Formula 1 at La Source there. We've seen some big action there in turn 1 at La Source. And I remember I think it was the 5th or 6th race of the season when the halo first came in, and everybody was saying, oh, it's ugly, it's horrible, it's not gladiatorial and all this nonsense. And I remember when Fernando Alonso's car got launched over the top of Charles Leclerc's Alfa Romeo, it was horrible. And the halo basically rebounded Alonso's... Oh, Alcrudo with... Oh, no. Oh, our commentator's curse is just brutal today.
Brussels.
Oh my!
No.
But yes, that was La Source. Not this incident here, but yeah, that was La Source with Leclerc and Alonso. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, coming down to Brussels, gets a little bit wide, coming out of the previous corner.
What?
Oh, completely outbrakes himself. That's bizarre.
He hit the brakes at the right point.
Doing a lockup, maybe? It didn't look like it.
Yeah, it's a GT3. No, it is a GT. I'm getting my classes confused here. Oh, it was a lockup.
Just a little. You just see a little
He
puff
turned
there.
in. He turned in all the braking, and that just locked it up. I thought that was a GT3, and I knew I was going to get confused somehow today. And yeah, that front right locked up big going into Brussels, and a little tap of the wall. But that was a very disastrous moment for him. He's having such a good race, and yeah, my bad.
No, that's a pity. But for our viewers, if you've never driven a car without ABS or never driven a race car without ABS, it's a little bit like if you've ever hit the brakes on ice and nothing really happens. That's kind of what it's like. It's really that extreme in some cases when you hit the brakes and you just slide on forward. And that's where you see a lot of incidents as well, when you see a driver trying to make that late move up on the brakes and they just mistime it, and then it's often when they pinch a little lockup on the brakes. So you've got to watch for that. Of course, in the GT3 cars, they have anti-lock brakes, so that stops that from happening. However, if you get into the brakes too hard in a car with anti-lock brakes, basically it basically pumps the brake back and forward for you to try and stop the lock. But of course, when it's pumping the brake back and forward, it's losing brake pressure. As we see contact
Hartley
between the number 50 and the number 3 of Hartley, and is that Souza?
That is Sosa. Hartley and Sosa. And Hartley getting in there, showing some of that big Beamer elbows to Rafael Sosa, but those two Beamers getting very aggressive with each other. Sosa's going wide, not the time to go for a replay, Marco, because Hartley was looking down to the inside. Sosa went wide, and now as they're going through No Name, those two Beamers almost like 1 and 2 of each other, and this is what a M16 looks like in a car variant. Those two big headmates is almost bumper to bumper right there.
Yeah, they have to say that.
Don't count out Coral.
So this is Alcrudo again in the 000, coming, or 84 as it says on our timing screen. It says 000 in his car. He goes into pit lane, and he's decided to take his pit stop. Okay,
Yeah,
he's in the pit. He's just.
I don't think he's coming. I don't think he's coming back. I don't think he's coming back. He says he's out, and he's been in there for a while.
Oh. Okay, my apologies. I'm glad you're here to keep me right, Austin. That's for sure.
Yeah, I saw him go in. I haven't seen him come out.
Okay. On that note, if you were in a GT3 car right now, the pit window is just opened, and what that means is you could come in now and fill up with fuel, and you would make it to the end of the race. We've got one more lap. Any time from about now, the GTE runners could come in, but this is the very beginning of their. Whoa! Sosa has a huge spin. I think he did that on his own. Actually, I'll be honest. I think, but it'd be interesting to get a replay of that.
There might have been a little bit of a tap from Coral, but I do believe that is on his own.
Possibly.
I really need to see what's happened there, because that is we do have an incident involving cars at 50 and 3, and well, that's Sosa and Hartley. I think Hartley might have gave him a little bit of a tap. Here it is. Oh! So he was
I think
spinning
he was
already. He was spinning
yeah.
already, then Hartley just finished the job.
I think, yeah, he was maybe got an oversteer moment. He might have caught it. I don't think you could blame Hartley for that, to be honest, really. It looked like he's getting a bit loose. And then
bam.
Yeah, just a racing deal there, I would say.
A racing incident, honestly. Collins getting stopped out of... Is that... Yeah, Collins getting turned around at the end of the straight through the S's. And... I think we're about to see the Porsche do Porsche things. Yep. Very flicky at the rear. And there we go. Racing incident between Sosa and Hartley.
Good call from the stewards there. I have to be honest that they'll be able to see a little bit more than we can in the commentary box, but very good call from the stewards, I would say. Just one of those unfortunate things that can happen in racing. So anyway, Hartley carries on then in the number 3 BMW, very good looking machine, that nice paint scheme on that. And of course, this BMW M8, it's maybe not had in the real world, it's maybe not had the success that BMW would have liked. Of course, didn't win in the World Endurance Championship or at Le Mans. However, in IMSA, it's had a pretty good run of it, and in fact has won the Rolex 24-hour at Daytona on the last 2 occasions. And this year, actually, the winning car had Aussie V8 driver Chaz Mostert at the wheel alongside Jesse Krohn, Augusto Farfus, and American John Edwards.
Yeah, Carl giving Hartley a little big quarter tap right there. That would have been extreme karma if what happened to Hartley happened right there, as this is Collins having a little bit of a chip through bus stop chicane.
Well, Dennis Sabretic, he's pretty much on a track day at Spa on his own right now, putting on an absolute masterclass at the wheel of his BMW in this number 79 Band of Others machine. Just a textbook drive, and I don't think we can stress it enough, Austin, in a field of this quality, just how impressive it is to stretch such a big gap this early in the race. It really is impressive to see. And the thing that I love about sim racing, I'll be honest, is the great thing is that you could go onto iRacing on your sim at home, and you could pick the car that Dennis is driving right now and this circuit, and you could then compare your lap time with his, and you could then quickly see just how good that driver is. And of course, you just can't do that in the real world. So that's one thing that sim racing does bring to the table.
It honestly does. It's just mind-boggling because you drive by a place, you've seen it, you've never been to a race there, and then you just go onto iRacing, and there the track is on the service. I know I'm looking at places in Hampton, Virginia, and Langley Speedway is right there, and it's just honestly cool that I could go out my future air quote doorstep and look right there and be like, oh, there's a speedway, or I could just go into my room and just drive around Langley Speedway and not try to risk anything in real life.
Yeah, that's what it brings. And of course, I think we're very, very lucky as race fans that, you know, motorsport is really the only form of sport that can actually be replicated so closely in the virtual world. And during the last couple of months, during the global lockdowns, etc., that's really been an advantage, but also to connect fans with the sport a lot more. And I certainly know of quite a few people who have actually, their first motor races that they've watched all the way through have been sim races. So it's fantastic to be a part of this ever-growing phenomenon that is sim racing. Anyway, we are now, well, look at this. This is two Ferraris following behind an Audi here at Spa as we head around the very tricky Brussels hairpin through the left-hander of Liège down towards the slightly unfortunately named Buon.
Yeah, Lavender Thorman giving us a great three-way fight for 5th place as they start to enter the 30th minute here in this 75-minute race at Spa. Dennis Sabretic leads by 13 seconds with Elvis Rankin just leading barely ahead of Cameron Martineau here at Spa. This is the Ricmotech GT Challenge here at Spa on Apex Racing TV, and we'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back to Circuit de Spa Francorchamps, here live on Apex Racing TV for the Ricmotech GT Challenge here at Spa Francorchamps. So Austin, it's been an amazing race so far, and looks like we're getting the first of our drivers taking their pit stop.
Yeah, they come back at a great time. Pit stop strategy alive and well in the GT3 field. As we're looking down the field, current driver in the pits is actually Ken Ladd.
So Ken Ladd, he is in right now, getting just to top up with fuel. We are not expecting our drivers to take tyres. You should be able to make the tyres last in this 75-minute race. They will be getting a little bit past their best by that time, but our drivers will be keeping that in mind as our leader, Dennis Sabretic, is, well, he's coming up behind the GT3 cars, so this might be a good time for him to take his pit stop, so that he then comes out of sequence with the back of the GT3 field. So we might see our leader coming into pit lane right now. And Travis Schwenke, who's had an eventful race, to say the least, also in a BMW, running in second, with Mike Dam in third place in his Porsche, in the first of the Porsche 911 RSRs. Interestingly, our first Ferrari is in 11th, so that is interesting. Now, we must make our viewers aware that this series will actually deploy their own balance of performance. So what that means is that, and it's very common in sports car racing nowadays, is basically that the organisers of a race or racing series will basically add or subtract performance from cars to make sure that they can all compete on a level playing field. In theory, it's a brilliant idea, because you've got here a mid-engine twin-turbo Ferrari racing against a mid-engine flat-six normally aspirated Porsche. You've also got a front-engine twin-turbo V8 BMW as well. Oh, and also a 3.5 litre twin-turbo Ford, and they're all racing together on a more or less equal playing field. Now, the way to do that is that if a car is deemed not quick enough, they'll maybe give it a little bit more power, or by giving it more turbo boost or a bigger air restrictor or something like that. Or if it's going too quickly, they might add weight to it to try and slow it down. But the problem with balance of performance is that sometimes if the series gets it wrong, it can make things a little bit uneven, so to speak. So the series here are going to, we got one of our GT3 Ferraris off. Oh, dearie me.
That was a tricky rejoin.
Yes, that was tricky indeed. So, final point on that, this series will actually implement their own balanced performance. So we could see before the next round, whoa, just spins round on the curb there for Joel Lee. The series the BMWs might be getting a balance of performance adjustment to slow them down. Oh, Mike Dam, our third place driver there, very lucky.
That is a sight you don't want to see. when you're going through No Name. Elvis Rankin goes through another lap, and just look how much of a gap he's pulled out.
Yep, he's our newly found teenager. 13 years old, Elvis Rankin is just putting on a masterclass in his Ferrari right now. And interestingly, that we talked about not having a Ferrari in the top 10 in GTE. Well, look at GT3. It's a 1-2-3 for Ferrari as well. So it could be that the GT3 Ferraris will be getting a little bit of a balance of performance adjustment as well. Our first Mercedes sitting 8th in class. So it's the Mercedes, as we talked about it being a preferred car. Well, it's languishing a little bit further back today. So could be that throughout the season we see the balance of performance going back and forward as we see Mike Dam coming into the pits from 3rd place.
Now, Dam going for that undercut, 36 minutes in to the race, and he's got a long pit stop to go to near the end of the pit lane, and it's actually at the very end of the pit lane, being one of the top starters, and he's just, it's just a fuel and go for Dam.
Yep, not expecting tires for these drivers. Of course, both classes of cars do have traction control systems, and actually the GTE cars, which are slightly more sophisticated, you can actually adjust the traction control as you go. So if the tire starts to go off, you can add a little bit more traction machines. I particularly like the Porsche, the car that was just on screen there, Mike Dam. That car, the dash, the information you get on the dash is so helpful. You get the fuel usage in great detail, the amount of fuel left, tire temperature, traction control, everything, and you can switch them all on your wheel here on iRacing. It's a fantastic car, this one. I love the Porsche 911.
Yeah, the Porsche 911 is a statistician's car. If you like stats, you like numbers, you're gonna have a fun time driving that car. As we're looking at Dennis Sabretic, and he's actually lapping the number 9 Audi of Carnan, Anthony Carnan, the American Ricmotech. And
yeah, he's not put a wheel wrong yet, as Dennis Sabretic, the number 79. Very impressive indeed. So Dennis Sabretic, sorry, not Sabretic, Sabretic. And well, he's still pounding around here. He's getting towards the end of his fuel limit, but of course the thing is, Austin, is that right now, if he's running on low fuel, that will be a quick race car that he's got underneath him, because as it burns off fuel, and it'll probably burn off about 80 or 90% of a gallon, so 3 or 4 litres or so, and that's every lap it's burning it off. So you know, all that car is just getting lighter and lighter as we see Hartley coming into pit lane.
yeah, Hartley also in the pit lane with who is that? It's one of the GT3 cars, and that GT3 car just big damage on him.
Yeah, the helpful thing with the GT3. Yeah, the helpful thing with the is that a Flying Lizard livery that's on that car? It looks like it. Number 95 machine. We'll get a look at that.
Yeah,
it's not, but it looks similar. It looks similar to the. He's going very slowly here out on track.
I'm not sure why. Not sure why he has that much damage and he's staying out. In the Flying Tortoise Motorsport. Oh, yeah.
Just a little checkup. When you're at the back of the pack, it's just so busy there into La Source, and when you're Flying Tortoise, I like that. So Flying Lizard, mainly known for running Porsches in the real world in the past, and with some amazing success with Patrick Long and Jörg Bergmeister. But yeah, Flying Tortoise, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, the whole analogy of when pigs fly, well, when turtles fly is even bigger.
Need quite a run up for the turtles to be able to fly.
I don't really think a tortoiseshell will be that aerodynamic. Actually, no, think of it. I think it has some pretty decent aerodynamics. They just have to tuck their head in. But
yeah, it'd be quite slippery aerodynamics. But as we see, Dennis Sabretic, our overall leader, and leader in his class as well, of course, still keeps going. So he's clearly running as much as that, as long as that BMW M8 will go. He's running it right until the end of the fuel window to run it as light as he can, and then a little bit of a splash. Yep, that should be pretty soon for him to come in and fill back up with fuel again.
As we're looking at this battle from 9th in class between Rodriguez and Dylan, they have a GT3 holding him up, and whoa! What a send out the inside by that big old.
That was the 115 of Justin Corral, the Porsche. Yeah, big move on the brakes for the Porsche. And we knew one of the characteristics that the Porsche has, that it's a little bit tricky under braking. That's very much a Porsche 911 thing. But that Porsche 911 RSR is quite a bit different. It's quite unique in 911 history because it is actually technically a mid-engine machine, and of course Porsche 911s are famously rear-engine machines. But what they did was they switched the engine and the gearbox around and put the gearbox behind the engine, and moved the engine a little bit forward a bit so that they could fit a much bigger dynamic rear diffuser. As we look at these in the draft here, let's just get a great look at how much draft you can get there down the Kemmel Straight.
He was looking around the outside.
It's a shame we've not got a McLaren. It's a shame we've not got a McLaren, because a Ferrari versus McLaren on the Kemmel Straight, Mika Hakkinen versus Michael Schumacher, all our Formula 1 fans will know how that one ended up.
Yeah, I would really love a McLaren on this field and on this track right now, because those McLarens go flying on this straight.
And spitting flames on the downshifts as well, which is the cool thing about that McLaren as well. Which is very
fire-breathing dragon. And a little bit of a mistake for Rodriguez. Going into P1, he rode up onto that curb as Dylan does, trying to avoid him. And as they get close together, they separate once more, and then they get close together once more as they enter Village. And Rodriguez.
Close battle here. They've got a GTE car just coming through. That's bad timing.
That's a good break for Rodriguez right there. That is an excellent break for Rodriguez. He is smiling in his mirror right now after seeing that.
That's sports car racing. That's sports car racing for you. The traffic giveth and the traffic take away. And that is even more than outright pace. How you manage that traffic is crucial. Now, coming up behind this is where these teammates here, of course, one in GT3 class. Rodriguez, he's in GT. Hold on a minute, I'm getting confused here. Yes, he's in the GT3 class. And
he's going to the pits in front of the GTE. That GTE. Oh, he's going to. Whoo! The Spa pit lane almost gave us a first incident with multi-class cars. That Porsche almost went full on into Dylan right there.
Oh, we're still waiting for our leader to come into pit lane. Denis Sabretic, the Croatian, who's just been flawless so far. Also Schwenke. Schwenke hasn't stopped. In fact, look at that. We're still waiting on quite a few of our drivers to come in. They've been out there for about 45 minutes. Now, usually the GTE cars on full fuel will run for about an hour or so, but they've only got an 85% of their fuel tank in the rules here to basically force the pit stop.
Yeah, I said at the start of the broadcast, they're going to be waiting to about lap 45 before most of the top guys go into the pit stops. But the GT3s,
45 minutes.
Yeah, GT3s, I think it's going to be a crowded pit lane this lap.
Yeah, it's going to get busy, and for Elvis Rankin, he just wants to get through this phase of the race and just get out and keep going, because he's built up a fantastic lead at the front of this race, 8 seconds back to second place. Is he going to come in?
Nice.
No, he's making you a liar, Austin. He's keeping going, but it won't be long, you're right, before he comes in. But yeah, Denis Sabretic, he's got to be coming in now too as well. No, he's making us both that thing must be on fumes by now.
It must be on fumes, or he filled that thing with alcohol or something.
Well, I tell you what could be even more depressing for his competitors is that you never know, he could possibly have been fuel saving, having built up such a big lead. Now that is an ominous thought. If he's been doing this pace and been making the fuel go longer, Well, one thing for sure is we could see his BMW getting a bit of a balance of performance adjustment before we head off down to round 2.
You know, you actually might be onto something right there. He might not be entirely full throttle on the straight, because I'm looking at the gap between him and Schwenke on the straights. Schwenke is going a bit faster than him.
Well, he's obviously wanting the whole field to shake out and get their pit stops out the way before he does. So, interestingly, normally pit stop strategy is a bit like a herd of hippos. Everybody follows the main boss, but they haven't done so here. The main boss has stayed out and they've all ignored him. So, well, it'll be interesting to see here this is going to be really fascinating to see how long can Sabretic stretch this tank, because clearly he's running it up to the very limit. You got to think the fuel light will be coming on his Bosch dash in that car, and well, but he's usually drivers of this level, they've normally put in a lot of hours of practice leading up to the race, so I'm sure he knows to the meter how long that car will go on the fuel.
I'm about to take out my Magic 8 Ball and just start shaking and asking when these guys are going to the pits, and the signs are currently pointing to yes.
Fortune teller. So let's go. This is good to ride on board here. Is he stretching every last gear here?
Yes.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, the red lights came on there telling him to shift. A little bit, but not much. As he comes through Blanchimont, very, very small movements on the wheel, very smooth. And then right up to using every last bit of the revs. He's got the gearing perfect in that car. Down to first, he's going a wee bit
Hello,
slower.
pit lane.
Yeah, here he comes. Leader in pit lane now, so he'll pop on the
leaders in the
pit lane speed limit. Both the leaders. Oh, well, there you go. That's your leaders in GT3 and GTE coming in to fill up. And that's a long stint there from Denis Sabretic. And not only a long stint, a perfect stint at the wheel of that way.
Yeah, he's followed by Schwenke into pit lane. But we do have a overtake for the lead in GT3. Elvis Rankin looking to go undercutting. And the rest of the GTE field, GT3 field, looking to go for the overcut right now. And Justin Coral going into the pits right now. And Dennis has pretty much pulled out that entire gap for him. As well as Sosa going into the pits, that he wasn't even at risk of being overtaken going into that pit lane. As he rejoins with Elvis.
Off he goes then, and so yeah, he'll be wanting to get past the Elvis Rankin, the GT3 leader, pretty quickly. But again, as we mentioned, the GT3 cars have been given a 5% power reduction from normal, just to make them a little bit easier to clear for the GTE cars in traffic. And I'll be honest, Austin, I think that's a brilliant move, just to make the whole race run just that little bit smoother, because actually a really well-driven GT3 car is often on similar pace to the bottom end of the GTE field, and that can make it pretty messy at times.
It absolutely can. Elvis moving over and actually braking extremely early. That's a very nice gesture by Elvis right there, letting the overall leader by as he's trying to catch up to his rivals who actually stayed out.
Yeah, and of course the very helpful thing about the GT3 cars, if you might be wondering what position and class they are. So it's very, very helpful to tell you. So at the moment that Ferrari is in second in class as well. You'll see them if you ever watch GT World Challenge in America. You'll see it also can tell you who is in the car as well. So it'll say the first three letters of the driver's second name. We don't get that here on iRacing, but very helpfully for us commentators anyway. Tells us where they are. Oof. Oh, this is running. This is now. I don't know if you're one of these drivers. I certainly can't do it, Austin. When you get that kind of fuel light gamble where you go past, no, next gas station, no, it'll be fine, no problem. And I just can't do that. I get range anxiety. I couldn't do that. But in the race car, it can give you a little bit of an advantage.
I'm extremely paranoid when it comes to my fuel life. If I see it coming on, I'm diving into the pits.
Yeah, me too. Me too, for sure. Now, interestingly, speaking of diving into the pits while out on the road, Kevin Estre, factory Porsche driver, has congratulations actually to Kevin and his lovely wife Caroline. They've actually had their first son this week. Little Tommy was born, and then a day or two after, Kevin had to go off and race at the Nürburgring in the Frikadelli Porsche. And of course, Kevin does what he does best, drives the Nürburgring Nordschleife better than pretty much anyone on the planet, then jumps in his Porsche company car and drives back down to his home in Austria at Warp Factor 9. And he was actually basically following his journey on Instagram, and he showed the kind of trip computer on his car of his stats, not only fuel consumption, but average speed, which was, let's just say it was high.
It was in the 200s, wasn't it?
It was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. But of course, in Germany, the autobahns do help for that. But he was obviously very keen to get home and see his lovely wife and new son as well, and rightly so. And congratulations to them once again. So, 51 minutes done then. Most of our leaders have had their pit stop, but we're still waiting on a couple of very, very brave GT3 runners that come in. And this number 112 car, this Ferrari, well, it must be running on fumes right now. The number 112 of Cameron Martineau, well, I'd be amazed if he goes around for one more lap here.
Yeah, top 5 haven't actually gone into the pit stop, so the GT3s, a little bit longer, but they're definitely not going to be able to make it to the final stop, as we're going to see him go into the pits right now. Oh, look at that.
There we go. So maybe we're going to see a Ferrari traffic jam. Here it's going to look like
there's 2.
The Champs-Elysees in Paris,
3.
or the
I see 4.
25 Audi in.
And let's go for 5.
It's like sheep coming into the. It's not prancing horses. It's dancing sheep who are all coming into pit lane one after the other. And look, here is now your net leader, number 1, Elvis Rankin. His Ferrari comes through over the line with all his competitors sitting in pit lane, filling up with fuel, and he will then take a commanding lead into the second phase of this race.
Yeah, Elvis Rankin, happy late birthday, man. Welcome to your teenage years. Had fun with that. Getting closer and closer to getting into the open wheeler cars that he is absolutely looking forward to right now.
Yeah, Elvis, of course, runs bandoleros and quarter midgets in the real world as well, so he's got big aspirations and a big future ahead of him in motorsport. So brilliant to see him here racing in this Ricmotech GTC series. Of course, we saw him last week in the Classic Sprint series, and I still think about that Mazda MX-5 battle we saw at Watkins Glen last week, Austin. And for those that didn't see it, well, I won't spoil the result for you, but go back and watch it on the Apex Racing Facebook page. Absolutely amazing battle, wasn't it?
It certainly was one of my favorite battles to watch, commentate on, and just keep watching over and over again. I highly suggest y'all go over there and try to watch it. We're watching this great battle for 10th place between Chan and Coral. So they go down this long straight, and that Ferrari is locked in on that Porsche's bumper, but that Porsche just so good on the brakes for that Ferrari, but that Ferrari is just on him.
Yeah, Arthur Chan, the number 87, he is our defending series champion in the GTE class, and well, he's probably thinking, this new guy, Dennis Sabretic, he's going to take some beating this year. But yep, he's you never know. The thing is, we're going to a big variety of circuits all over the world in this season, and it's a long season, and you will see that where certain drivers really just fit in well with certain circuits.
Yeah, so drivers absolutely love circuits. Some drivers absolutely despise some circuits. I'm a great driver around Circuit of the Americas, but I cannot drive Sonoma to save my life.
I'm glad you mentioned that about Sonoma, because I really enjoy driving the circuit, but God am I slow around that particular circuit. But I have to be honest, my favourite combo, well, car, it's got to be the Corvette. I'm a huge Corvette fan, I'll be honest, even though I should be impartial. Corvette around Sebring.
I knew you were going to say Sebring. We were just talking about it.
What would be your ultimate track car combo on iRacing, Austin?
USF 2000 at Mid-Ohio. Wait, no, wrong one. USF 2000 at Coda.
I tell you what, if there's a circuit to let that car fully stretch its legs, that would be Kota anyway. Funnily enough, I'm gonna now hold on, listen out for the name drop here. I was interviewing, funnily enough, a Ferrari driver who drives the Ferrari GT in real life, Rachel Fry, and she was saying that would be one of her favourite circuits in the world is Circuit of the Americas. Actually, she in a Formula One car. She said that would be the ultimate combo for her.
It is absolutely beautiful. I wish I could drive it in an actual Formula One car. I've driven it in the Formula One car on iRacing, which is the Williams FW31 car. I wouldn't say much faster than the Williams now, but you certainly get a absolutely wonderful aspect in that car. But I can say the Indy car around Coda is extremely fun.
Oh, Indy cars are just amazing machines. I always think of Indy cars as they're about the closest thing to a ground missile as you could get. And actually, I have to say, I was very, very lucky to commentate on an IndyCar race a couple of weeks ago with Richie Hearn, who his debut was in 1996, which to this day is still the fastest qualifying ever seen at Indy, where Arie Luyendyk did it the qualifying average speed of 236 miles an hour, which is just a terrifying thought.
That is an absolutely maniac thought, and I have no words on how fast that time is around
especially
there.
for your first time where actually he came third on his first time in the Indy 500, did Richie Hearn. And you know what music he listened to on the way to the track that day? Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain.
Of all the songs. Well, I shouldn't blame him. My pump-up song for every race was Ice Ice Baby.
Do you know that Scott Dixon knows the words off? He can rap Ice Ice Baby absolutely word for word. Scott Dixon can. Do you know why? Because he used to be a delivery driver when he used to live back in New Zealand. He was a pharmaceutical delivery driver, and the van that he drove had a tape deck, and the tape was stuck in, and that tape was Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice. So there you go. If you ever meet Scott Dixon, ask him to recite Ice Ice Baby.
I think Scott Dixon and I might have a little karaoke duet in our future.
So there was a little bit of a rub there. The 115 Porsche of Corral and Hartley there coming down the Kemmel Straight. Schumacher and Hakkinen S. Austin, what do you see here?
Looking ooh! Whoa, there's just no room. Coral just trying to extend the track as much as he can, but just bam on the.
Yeah, a little bit clumsy actually. That could have been a lot worse, I'll be honest. Now, what's happening with these two Audis? Number 25, John Lavender, in the Archer Brothers Esports machine. Now, a little bit more room being given here for now, and a very clean move. That's more like it. That's how you do it at the end of the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, a lot cleaner. Gave each other room. I don't think that's going to cite a race protest with that little tap right there. Probably a post-race protest, but really, it was just light tap. Nothing big came from it. Really wasn't an overtake, but like it was a bit silly to tap him right there. So we'll see what happens after the race.
No harm, no foul, as they say. Now, of course, Austin, we don't have the Jerry Springer show anymore. But if you want to see something similar, if you go onto certain racing leagues, basically paddock Discord chat, some of those are honestly they make Jeremy Springer show look like Oprah. Honestly, it is just chaotic sometimes, much more chaotic than the racing, and everybody all of a sudden becomes a complete maniac.
Yep. Welcome to iRacing, where every incident is not your fault.
Just like the real racing. So we've gone past the 1 hour mark, just 15 minutes to go, and the GTE field, it's kind of all stretched out a little bit. We've got Dennis Sabretic, who's driven the perfect race so far. The Travis Schwenke making it a BMW 1-2 right now, with Mike Dam, the first Porsche, sitting in third position. In GT3, well, it's Elvis Rankin leading a Ferrari 1-2-3 by 7.9 seconds. So in an endurance racing format like this, got a driver who's got the edge, that's going to happen. Oh, as we see, Souza and Collins here getting a little bit frisky, and oh, the number 50 BMW just gets best. So 27 laps here through beautiful Belgian countryside. Of course, Belgium home to fantastic craft beer, has done for hundreds of years, fantastic chocolate, and one of my favourite things, French fries with lots of mayonnaise to dip them in.
Ooh, that actually sounds absolutely wonderful.
Pretty
sure my diet would hate me for that, but I can stretch it in 1-2 days of eating that. Actually, I'm gonna recreate that tomorrow.
Yep, I now when I was in my previous life, Austin, when I used to sell Scotch whiskey for my sins, and I did a lot of business in Holland and Belgium, and that is what very much a custom there, where you have your French fries and you dip them in. They even have special types of mayonnaise to dip your fries in, and it is absolutely glorious. It shouldn't really work actually, but it really does. It's honestly, and apparently the Friture de Master, named after the Master Kink here at Spa. Apparently it is one of the best places for French fries anywhere in the world. So if you didn't already have enough reasons to go to Spa to watch some racing, there's another one for you.
Come for the racing, stay for the food. This is the USGP. Honestly, at Coda, I've seen people go for the racing and they'll be like, we're gonna head out of the racetrack. They bring in so much good food there. Oh. And whoa, Holland! Very slow, and Dylan got a good run, but Holland on the exit, keeping it in 8th place as Lee's caught up to them. And this three-way battle for 8th place starting to heat up right now, as Holland taking a defensive line through La Source, and here comes Dylan.
Yep, and Holland holding up the Mercedes Honor for Stuttgart in the aftermarket machine. The AMG Mercedes just rumbling away. It's one of the most amazing sounding vehicles, and of course the road cars that made by Mercedes AMG sound equally impressive as well. But here we are, Dylan in the Ferrari in the draft. Sounds like we're watching a NASCAR race, saying Dylan in the draft. Of course, Austin Dillon running for Richard Childress Racing as they head on the brakes hard into the Lecombe chicane.
Yeah, and Holland is sticking to these curbs as tight as he can, and Dylan is just flowing through this, and Lee's caught up to this, and now it's a 1-2-3 pack.
Well, this is really tight now, as well as
Holland taking the tail out. He is swinging at. He is struggling. He's just keeping that car like extremely tight on these curves, and you get to see him kicking that tail out. It almost looks like a rally car sometimes. And I'm a fan of going sideways, but not that sideways on a road course.
No, definitely not. Of course, when you're getting that big slide on, that's you're just losing lap time. All the fastest drivers are the smoothest drivers, and of course our leader Dennis Sabretic. We haven't seen his car out of shape once. It's been looked like a slot car so far today, but this is a fantastic battle. Let's stay on this. This is brilliant. Our main battle here on track, thanks to wonderful producer Marco Barbonera, and he'll be happy because there's two Ferraris behind here with the Mercedes in front. He's not a Ferrari fan whatsoever as we head through Blanchimont, 6 gear, flat out. Oh, that's what racing is all about. But Holland defending very well here in his Mercedes AMG.
Yeah, I don't think Dylan's gonna really try to go for an overtake. He's waiting for that last move. And oh no! Well, sorry, Dylan.
Oh, just gets it gassed up there. Coming out of the bus stop, you're coming all the way down to bottom gear.
He
First
saw
gear
Holland.
gets good, and he's got a
Holland
lot of
went
steering
wide.
lock on here, and just whoop.
Oh, he saw the gap. Holland went wide above corners, and he just got a little bit itchy. Big damage to that car, and he currently sits in 10th place right now, and he's got to be kicking himself for that. Big damage to the car. 10 minutes left in the race. Dennis Sabretic massively in the lead, as well as Elvis Rankin here for the Ricmotech GT Challenge at Spa. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hello race fans, and welcome back to the final stages of this Ricmotech GT Challenge race here at Spa-Francorchamps, and there is a battle igniting here in the GT3 class between the Mercedes of Holland and the Ferrari of Lee. And what are you seeing here, Austin?
Well, Lee just made an absolute move, beauty of a move, down the inside to bus stop, and then made the move around the outside and got the advantage heading into the source. But now Holland is on Lee's tail going down that straight, and then we all know that Mercedes has got some big, beefy legs as they head down into the Lancôme S's, but he's just going to stay back there and let that tiny Ferrari do some work. But Holland, oh, after defending so well, 8th place, lost it to Lee, who just snuck up onto Holland and Dylan.
Yeah, Joe Lee, the man from Oregon, looks like he's got good pace here. He's putting a gap into Holland straight away, and like you said, Austin, that Mercedes had big legs down the Kemmel Straight, but as soon as it got to the twisty bits through Lancôme and etc., well, the Ferrari is clearly nimble. That mid-engine balance clearly really working through the corners. Oh, yeah, of course, that's a replay. Yeah, William Dillian getting a little bit loose on the exit. And of course, that's the disadvantage of a mid-engine balance. It can be a little bit twitchy when you don't look after it right.
Yeah, she, as some can say about some girls, they can be a bit twitchy.
Steady. Oh, Rafael Souza, number 50.
That's a...
Oh, he's parked up in pit lane and he's not at the wheel. Oh dear, what's happened here? So, number 50.
I'm scared. Oh,
that wall does not move. That is a concrete wall, and he just got the lightest of touch with the GT3 car. Let's have this would be perfect view here, perfect camera here from our producer Marco Barbanera. And really just moved across in the GT3 car. Nothing the GT3 car could have done there, was driving perfectly straight and just got a little bit greedy with the entry, and that's his race over.
Well, you play risky games and you get risky prizes, and yeah, that's a very hard price to pay. Surely there's no reason for him to move over right there. Should have waited for a spotter to say clear, and yeah, no action for that. He pretty much paid all the penalty he could for that.
Yeah, well, perhaps the penalty didn't fit the crime, you could say, couldn't you?
Yeah, and here in these leagues, the GTEs, it's not the responsibility of the GT3s to move over and bend over backwards for the GTEs, even though they're pretty much used to it sometimes. They have to get around the GT3s in a safe manner. That is in bold on the iRacing form, because some GTEs think they're royalty, and I can assure you that being overtaken one shouldn't involve a GT3 being punted into a wall and being blamed for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And of course, as we saw there, the GT3 car was predictable. I think that's also what you got to do, is you got to be predictable, and he kept it perfectly straight on the brakes, and there was bags of room there, and yeah, just a small mistake, but a very big consequence.
Dylan looked down to the inside, and Holland's he's been playing this game where he's just taking these odd lines, but Dylan with this wonderful switchback side by side heading into Village at Copa Paul Ferrer, but he saw Holland right there. Holland taking these wide lines. Dylan just avoiding them as they head down this long back straight into the world famous Blanchimont corner, and I think we're going to see a wonderful send down the bus stop chicane from Dylan, who, if you remember back a few laps ago, just awful crash into the wall. Well, he's fought back. He's back on the back of Holland into the bus stop chicane, and Holland goes wide. Here comes Dylan down to the inside, but this time Dylan's going to swing around the outside, side by side, off the exit, down the front straight, heading to his horse, and Dylan jumps up into 9th place.
Well, great recovery there from Dylan after being in the wall just a couple of laps ago, coming out of the bus stop. But Holland's not giving up. He goes for the cutback, opens up the power, opens up the taps of that big 6.3 litre naturally aspirated V8. But it's not going to be enough. It looks like, well, as I say that, look at this. Holland getting the run on Dylan. If he can do Eau Rouge, Italy. Oh, but the Ferrari just a little bit faster through Eau Rouge. But here comes the little
Mercedes That Mercedes has some big old legs, and once again, Holland getting into the back of Dylan. A little bit of, hey buds, I'm here, but he's not going to send it up the inside. He's quite comfortable back there in 10th, and now Holland going to try to pull away in that 9th spot in that mid-engine Ferrari, as we're closing in on the last minute here in Spa, and yes, the white flag is out here at Spa as Dennis Sabretic, 17.5 seconds in the lead. Are we going to see an 18-second lead? I kind of want to see an 18-second. That's a nice even number.
Maybe we might do. Yeah, Dennis Sabretic here coming around the double left-handed of Pouant. Just a few more sectors to go, and he's coming up behind this fierce GT3 battle actually with Holland and Dylan. So he'll maybe just, with a big cushion behind him, should just hang off, take it easy. There's no reason to make any unnecessary risk here, and you can tell he's really taking it pretty steady, waiting to get onto the straight, and then he'll make his way past the GT3 cars. I have to say, this has been an absolute masterclass from our reigning GT3 champion here in the Ricmotech series, and his first race in GTE is, well, he's continuing his winning ways here. Dennis Sabretic comes through Blanchimont for the final time, then comes into the bus stop chicane, down from top gear to bottom gear of his BMW M8, leading what looks to be a BMW 1-2. So it's going to be Dennis Sabretic, the Croatian, takes the win here in the opening round of the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series.
Schwenke still has a 5-second penalty.
Well remembered, Austin. Very well remembered. Schwenke has a 5-second penalty, but
he's 6
he
seconds
has
ahead of Mike Dam.
just gets home then. Whew. A little bit of a sweaty one there for Travis Schwenke. Good race as well. Good recovery from Mike Dam. He started on the front row, was bumped out onto the edge, but it's a good podium finish for him. So it's 2 BMWs and a Porsche in GTE. And well, what can we say about this man? The birthday boy of a few days ago, Elvis Rankin in the Ferrari, coming through to lead a Ferrari 1-2, with Lavender looking like he's going to put an Audi there in amongst that bunch of prancing horses. But Elvis Rankin then coming in here, the number 1 through Blanchimont for the final time, down the gearbox into the bus stop chicane, taking it nice and gently. And he will win this first round in the GT3 class of the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series. Well done, Elvis Rankin.
Well done to Elvis. Absolutely fantastic. In second place, it is Cameron taking P2, and Caleb John Lavender in third. And that Audi and Ferrari, Audi, that is a nice looking podium.
Certainly is. And well, that was certainly I mean, there's always a pleasure to see GT cars racing around this amazing Spa-Francorchamps circuit. And yeah, Dennis Sabretic putting on a real masterclass, a real show across 75 minutes of racing here at Spa. So we will just wait for our field to come round, and we will have the full results for you so you can see where your favourite driver finished, and then fingers crossed we'll get some drivers in for some driver interviews.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a few happy people waiting for some interviews, and I'm pretty sure I really want to hear from Elvis on that just absolutely masterful win. Peter, any closing comments about this race so far?
Well, it's I think it's going to be a real talking point throughout the season. Of course, we've got our next round coming up at Zolder. We're staying in Belgium. It's almost like we've got a coronavirus lockdown where we're having to stay in Belgium. Yeah, so we're off to Zolder in a couple of weeks' time, but 3 weeks' time, sorry. And well, it's going to be interesting talking about the balance of performance throughout. It's always a talking point in sports car racing, but we saw the BMW being a real, BMW being really dominant here, and of course the Ferrari being very dominant in GT3. So I think with the series implementing its own balance of performance adjustments, that's going to be quite a factor. What do you think we're going to expect when we go to Zolder?
I can just expect Zolder things. It's a very fun track. It's a very tight track. Those chicanes can cause a few problems, and some races some overtakes, some just absolutely fantastic battles, as I believe the last of our cars are coming across the line right now, and we have our results coming up right now. Yes, we do. Dennis Sabretic takes the win, followed by Travis Schwenke, who finishes in second by 1 second ahead of Mike Dan. Jennifer McDonald in fourth, followed by Jessica Corral, Robert R. Hartley, George Feike, Oren Collins, Arthur Chan, Jonathan Corral, Rafael Salsa. Very hard day for Michael Corrado Jr. and Sr., who they finish at the end of the field. They're definitely looking for a better race. And Peter, on to the GT3s.
So our GT3 runners then, led by the rapid teenager Lil King Racing's Elvis Rankin, number 1, wins in his Ferrari. Following behind him in the number 112 machine was Cameron Martineau, and rounding out the podium in the first of the Audis, Caleb John Lavender in the number 9 machine. Fourth was Tyler Guillemette, fifth David Duino, sixth was Loeski de Oleo, 7th Chris Thorman, 8th Joe Lee, 9th William Dillon, a really good recovery there to just pip Derek Holland and his Mercedes at the post. 11th was Raymond Rodriguez, 12th was Tony Kernan, 13th was Daniel Munoz, 14th was Jeremiah Kellum, 15th Jeff Jacobs, 16th Kevin Ford in the number 32 after his drive-through penalty earlier on in the race, 17th was Ken Ladd, and 18th was Russ Ruddock in the Flying Tortoise Motorsports machine.
I think you just really wanted to say that team name because that is a wonderful team name. Well, we do
I
have some
did.
drivers.
I really
knew
did.
it. I knew it. Well, we do have a driver for our interviews. Ladies and gentlemen, your GT3 winner today. His birthday was yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, Elvis Rankin.
Elvis Rankin, welcome to the commentary box and congratulations on your win here in the GT3 class here at Spa. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely an interesting race. I saw the big pile up out of Eau Rouge, and it was just kind of, stretch it out as much as I could. I kind of know that draft range in these cars, so I kind of know how far I got to get. And as soon as Caleb really made that mistake, I just wanted to capitalize and just keep going.
Well, you certainly delivered perfectly today. Now, as I understand that you do quite a bit of racing in the real world, not just here on iRacing. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about your plans for this year out on track?
Yeah. So I'm going to start doing some road course series in the States. It's called the Lucas Oil School of Racing. Open wheel cars, super fun. And yeah, that's our plans for the year.
Wish you all the best of luck. How can our viewers check out what you're doing? Can they have you got a website or social media they can follow to see how you're getting on?
Yeah. So it's facebook.com/Elvis Rankin Racing, and then our website is elvisrankinracing.com. But yeah, I just want to give a big thanks to all the sponsors that keep us on track. Special thanks tonight to Samaritan's Feet. They're a nonprofit charity from North Carolina, and they try and make kids that don't have shoes more happy and protect their feet. And I was able to be a part of one of their seminars, and they're one of the coolest charities I've ever seen. I want to thank my teammates from the Spot 24, because that really helped me a lot get prepared for this race. It's the same car, same track, all that kind of stuff. So Travis Schwenke, Robert Hartley, and Jordy Fike, they were all amazing in the spa and amazing tonight, so I can't give a big enough thanks to them. All the sponsors that keep us on the track in the real world, my mom, my dad, my grandma, my grandpa, they support me all the way in racing and in sim racing. And last but not least, the admins that keep us going on track, Jeff Jacobs, Kevin Ford, Russ Ruddock, and Bobby Childs. They do an amazing job here, keeping us all straightened out, and Ryan Cobb for being an amazing race marshal. And you guys for broadcasting.
Oh, thank you very much, Elvis. That's very kind of you. And certainly we look forward to seeing you again up here in the commentary box throughout this Ricmotech season. Thanks for coming to join us in the commentary box and enjoy the win.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So that was our GT3 winner, Elvis Rankin. Austin, have we got anyone else wanting to come and chat to us?
Yes, we do. We got Cameron Martinucci behind, with us right now. He finished in second in the GT3. Cameron, do you read?
Yep. Hear you guys loud and clear.
Awesome. Well, that race was a very interesting one for you. You finished in second place. Talk us through that race. How was it?
Oh, it was pretty good. The start kind of got a bit hairy. We went 3 wide going into turn 1 there, so and I was in the middle, so that kind of was a bit scary right there. But as soon as we got into single file, my focus was just to stay on the back of Caleb and Elvis and try not to get out of their draft, because I knew they were a little bit quicker than I was, race pace wise. And then I saw Caleb made that mistake there, which was, unfortunate. He had good pace, and I think we probably would have had a pretty good battle had he held it together. And, from then on, it was just keeping it clean, trying to optimize as many bonus points there, with getting less than 6 incidents and leading a lap. So, because I knew I was a few tenths slower than Elvis. So, it's just at that point, once got into second place, was just to keep it clean. So
It was a beautiful race from you, very clean race and very on top of things. Finished on the podium. Next race is at Zolder. What can you expect going into there?
It's definitely a track that I'm not too familiar with, so I'm definitely going to have to put in a lot of time and, you know, figure out a good setup there and hopefully repeat.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us after the race. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, I just want to say a quick shout out to my teammates there that were in the race team Aquila. You know, they were a big help in prepping for the 24 Hours of Spa this weekend and also this race. And just want to give a good shout out to my father and Bob and Elizabeth who are watching at home.
All right. Well, thank you, Cameron. You have yourself a good old night, and we're going to go over to Peter for our next interview.
Thanks, guys.
I have Travis Schwenke hoping to come in. We're just waiting for him to come and join us in the booth. Here he is, the number 16. Travis Schwenke making it through to second position today in his BMW. Travis, congratulations on an opening podium in this Ricmotech GT Challenge series. Tell us about your race.
A little exciting start. You know, we went 4 wide there at the beginning, and you know, my spotter called that he was still inside, so I opened up the steering and touched his dad or son there. And I actually had a 5-second penalty, so I was managing that gap the whole time to Mike the whole race. It was just a great race, and Mike was pushing. He didn't really realize I had the 5-second penalty, but you know, and by managing, I mean I was driving as hard as I could. Mike and I were just laying very similar laps the whole time. So, good race.
It certainly was. It was certainly entertaining for Austin and I to watch it and call it. Now, of course, in the GTE class, you've got quite a good choice of cars. You can have the BMW, the Porsche, the Ford, or even the Ferrari. Now, you've gone for the BMW, which came home 1-2 today. But was it an easy decision to make to choose that car, or were you, did you have to deliberate over it for a while?
I don't run these GT cars enough to understand yet all the strengths and weaknesses of the different ones, and I'd driven the BMW last year. It got hampered about mid extreme season, but I know they made some changes. Definitely feels good, so I said, you know, I'll stick with this. I have some setups for it, and I was starting to figure out what things to tweak that to make it a little better, so I just stuck with the known.
Well, it certainly worked a treat today. So we're heading off to Zolder next time, staying in Belgium, strangely enough. Now, Spa is obviously a circuit that everyone knows really, really well, but Zolder's a little bit more of a kind of dark horse. Is that a circuit you've done many laps around?
Yeah, I've done a ton there in the Mazda, so I know that course pretty well. It'll be vastly different in this car, but I do know the little places to pick up speed and such, so I assume it'll be the same in this car. So a couple of those chicanes where you take a little bit different apex so you can get the exit out. So I think it should be okay.
Well, we'll have to watch you next week in a couple of weeks' time in your BMW. Now, while you're live here on Apex Racing TV, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to while you're on the broadcast?
Give a shout out to Ricmotech, of course, and Frank for supporting the series. Shout out to the winner, Dennis, man. What a race he put on today. Just a great show. I was really hoping I was there to kind of try to hold draft. You know, watching his practice times, he was really. Congrats to him on the opening season win as he moved up from GT3.
Well, thank you very much for coming to join us, Travis, and hopefully we'll see you up here again next time out. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that was our second place driver, Travis Schwenke, joining us in the commentary box. Now, I'm going to pass over to our wonderful producer, Marco Barbanera in Rome, who is going to tell us a little bit about the Ricmotech events that are coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks a lot, Peter. Hello, everyone. Let's see what we have coming up next on your screen right now. You can see on Monday, July the 20th, we will have the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, 8 p.m. Eastern. After that, it will be round 4 of the season. After that, we are going to be at Zolder, like you were saying, August the 3rd. That is going to be, of course, the next round of the GT Challenge. Still same time, 8 p.m. on a Monday, 75-minute race. And in between the two of them, on the 27th of July, still on a Monday, The Classic Sprint Series is back, round 5 of the season, from beautiful Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. So that is what's coming up next for this beautiful Ricmotech series, which is always a pleasure to commentate on and to broadcast. It's been quite a while since I've done one of these. And don't forget, if you want to find more about championship results, latest series information, etc., you can just jump on www.extrememotorsports99.com/GT for all the information you want and also those you don't want about this beautiful championship. Back to you, Peter and Austin.
Well, thank you very much, Marco, for telling us all about that. I have to say, Austin, Marco is he's such a smooth operator that he's going to put both you and I out of a job, I think. But hopefully he stays he stays in the producing, putting on those wonderful images for us. Fantastic race today, and looking forward to us heading across the Belgian countryside towards Zolder. Final thoughts before we head off into the distance here on Apex Racing TV.
Well, we've had exciting races for both classes here at Spa, and I can't wait to see what a track like Spa can compare to a track like Zolder 2. I can just expect a much more tighter and much more exciting race, and when the classes get together at Zolder, I think the sparks are going to fly next time we meet.
I think you're absolutely right, and let's look forward to that then as we go back in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you so much for watching this broadcast here on Apex Racing TV for the Ricmotech GT Challenge, brought to you by Texas Elite Graphics. That's all we've got time for today. We look forward to seeing you next time, and thank you very much indeed for watching.